Hey coaches, I'm going to cover quizzes and probably touch on guides, and then installs will probably be its own video. So here we go. Let's first I want to touch on if you're looking for if this looks like questions in your mind. Questions has its own tutorial and it's very simple stuff. It's yes no questions that gets sent to players. So quizzes is looking at a specific item, and there's a couple other options. There's a general one, there's plays, there's formation sets. And the reason this is really useful, if let's say you choose play, is because you can take information that you've already put into your playbook. So I've created a play, it has video, and now I want to go have it for players to develop off the field really. So let's say I put in a play, this is for our week whatever install. It may not be a new play, but it is something that right, it's not a new concept, but it is a new play in the sense that we're going to use it with this formation, with this team at this week, and now I can create something that's very specific to that information. So let's look at this formation set one, the right left example that I've just created. What I did here was I selected formation set, and then I selected the formation set that I wanted. And again, if you go back to the playbook management stuff, you would know a formation set. Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense to coaches, but a formation set is kind of my high level thing. So empty, I write, pro, doubles, all of those things come into formation sets. So in this case, I'm trying to dumb it down a little bit. I have a type of question called coach explanation. Right and left formation personnel is my description, and I'm explaining what 11 personnel is. Which players are on the line of scrimmage? This is a multiple choice, and like, okay, some players are gonna miss this stuff, especially if my picture only has like my overhead view, no numbers or letters, right? But some kids are gonna handle this just fine, and being able to go in and look at reports of how these things went is definitely really helpful. And then true false, this is similar to our doubles right and left, but we have a tight end. True. And I'm just going to go back, but here we go. We've created a question. That one's pretty simple. We have a bunch of examples here that kind of give us an idea of how it could be used. And right here I have participants. I'm going to check out this one, I think. So one, I can view this as a player, or I could even take it as a head coach, which maybe you want all your head coaches. Maybe you create one that's specific to them, like, hey, we need you, all of you, or maybe it's rules, team rules, whatever. Make sure everybody participates. Going back to participants, so I have my demo account, which is a head coach, and I have 0 right answers. So if I'm looking at a player and I said, well, there's 5 questions in this and they have nothing right, well, did they not take it? Are they trying their hardest? And there's some roll-up reports to really see how it works for how everybody is doing. And so I go into this player, I can see, well, they missed it, it's wrong. This one has a space and this one doesn't, whatever, right? Like perhaps everybody missed one because I just clicked the wrong thing. Or I can say, man, demo just has no idea what's going on. We have to, maybe he's a very skilled athlete who we just have to coach up a lot in the mental game. Maybe he's just a kid who it's like, well, we don't expect him to do very well, so let's keep throwing this information by him and get kids to explain and say, hey, John, demo doesn't really understand this some stuff. And often we're having kids standing around, well, ideally not, but sometimes we have players, especially at the high school level, standing around during, punt that could be explaining things that we know people are struggling with, or coaches could, come up and talk to those players individually. It gives you a chance to say, this is information that I have now that I can work with to help coach up my players. So that is a quiz, and you can do a couple different types of questions. It's mostly built around one item, so one picture, one piece of film, one, really one specific thing that I want to look at. Now, guides is a collection of those, and how guides is intended to be used is I would go ahead and I would create. Let me just edit this one up. So let's say I have a guide that is week one scout or install or whatever we want to call it, right? And then I can stick in my notes here. So now I know, hey, this week one, let's just remove some of this stuff, right? So week one, we know we're going to use right and left a lot, right? So now that quiz that I just created is a part of this whole guide part. So let's say I save that, or maybe have another one. I don't think I have anything good in here, but let's say I have one that was called, you know, guard power. Right now, I can stick in guard power. Kids have a chance to review this. Perhaps there's a specific play that's been added for this game. Probably it's got a concept. Probably it's got a formation that are in our playbook. But having a way to say, hey, this is what we're going to have specifically. Look at this guide stuff before you're here on Monday, and we'll be ready to go. Our players who do that, they're going to be mentally prepared, and we're going to save lots of time on the field. That's our guide. And I'm going to cover installs in its own video. It's pretty similar. It just has a lot more items that can really be used for how a player will be prepared to see what's on the field. And I think we're all familiar with installs, so it can also be used as something you could throw up on a projector, whatever it might be. And then, teams or players are ready to look at it. One of the big pieces that's really helpful about it is tracking what players have actually looked at on a more fine, detailed viewpoint. There we go.